Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our regular meeting. Before we get into the agenda, there's a proclamation I would like to read out on your behalf, and it's regarding Municipal Awareness Week from May the 4th to the 10th, 2025. Whereas municipal government is responsible for the provision of services that enhance the quality of life of its citizens, and whereas dedicated mayors, councillors, and staff are essential for the effective governance of their municipalities, and whereas collaboration, partnerships, and citizen involvement are essential for active, sustainable, and vibrant communities, and whereas it is fitting and proper to recognize and encourage the contribution of all who work diligently for the improvement of our municipalities. Therefore, be it proclaimed that May 4th to the 10th, 2025 be known as Municipal Awareness Week in municipalities of Newfoundland and Labrador in recognition of the vital role of municipal government and in recognition of all those those efforts that support it. So, I hereby declare May 4th to the 10th Municipal Awareness Week in the Town of Holyrood. Okay, any questions or comments on that? All right. So the agenda is there before you. Could I have a motion to approve, please? Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour? Carried. Minutes of the meeting, regular meeting of April 1st. Are there any errors or omissions? All good. Business arising? All good. No correspondence, Madam CEO? No, just proclamation. Okay. So now we'll move on to planning and development. Deputy Mayor Woodford and Councillor Windsor.
Good evening, everybody. The Planning and Development Committee, we met via Zoom on April the 23rd with our CAO Marjorie Gibbons, Director Robert Stacey, Councillor Steve Windsor, and myself in attendance. The committee firstly reviewed subdivision bylaws, and that was a document that was recently updated by the town planner in consultation with the committee. And this document will provide developers with what is required to build a subdivision here in Holyrood, and it will also tell them what is required in the application process. So this has been a document that we're building on from existing bylaws that we have and from lessons learned over the past few years. We've identified gaps in the information that was there. So this is a great document in moving forward because we have had a lot of interest from developers for subdivisions in Holyrood. And that document, if it goes through tonight, that will be on our social media sites before the end of the week, so people can have an opportunity to look at it. Also, an update on our town plan that has gone to our provincial government for review. Our last meeting that we had, we reviewed the document. There were some minor changes that our town planner had to make. And then we gave him the okay to go ahead and submit it. So those are two important documents that we've completed with planning and development, and really happy to have those completed for the year. We reviewed 4 applications during the meeting as well. 3 are motioned with our recommendations tonight. There was one that we were waiting on a discretionary use ad for information to come in, or comments to come in on that. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else that I'll provide an update, but I'll ask my co-chair, Councillor Windsor, if you want to add anything.
I'll sure add a few comments. You nailed it, Deputy Mayor, and in particular the subdivision guidelines and the town plan. I think that everybody should, take a bow on that one. There's a tremendous amount of work went into it, and not just by this committee, right? All of the councillors here over the course of this term have had various discussions and input. The residents and interested parties in the consultation process, CAO Gibbons and all the staff. I think it's a tremendous piece of work, and as you touched on in your little update, the lessons learned and identifying those gaps, engaging the professionals, excellent job. On to the next tough file now, so that's all I wanted to add. You nailed it.
Thank you, Councillor Windsor. The next piece would be our permits. Let's look. I have them here somewhere. There's an extensive number of permits, which is great for this time of year. Be it resolved to table and approve the attached permit listing. 22 permits were issued from March 19th to April 24th, 2025. Those numbers were number 03-0020-25 to 03-0031-25 and 04-0133 to 04-0141-25. And those permits include permits for accessory buildings, sheds, general repairs, test wells, landscaping, resident build permits for 1 and 2, and occupancy. And you'll notice that the sequence of the permit numbers is a result of an error, and therefore permits will continue in sequence from the 04-0141-25 from this point on. So moved.
Okay, moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? All those in favour? Motion carried.
The next is for a residential build at 4 Marina Drive. It's RMD zoned and well and septic. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Crawley. Further discussion? If not, all those in favour? Motion carried.
The next is for an automotive dealership at 36 Woodford Station. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved, the application does not meet the development guidelines of the Town of Holyrood and therefore is not recommended for approval. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion?
Well, that application that came in is, of course, looking for a dealership to have so many cars on site in a residential zone, and which is not an appropriate zoning for that type of business. So that's why it was not recommended for that area.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favour to reject the application? Motion is carried.
The next is for a road development in the valley. The zoning is RMD. Be it resolved to approve the above application in principle, subject to the town's municipal plan and development regulations. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? I'd just like to add, and I just want to commend the committee who spent considerable amount of time with staff and our planner in moving this forward and getting it updated, and it's a job well done, as communicated by Councillor Windsor a little while ago. So kudos to the committee and kudos to council for their input, certainly our staff, our CAO, and our town planner. Okay, any other questions or comments?
Well, the road development that we're referring to right now is for a regular residential gravel road standard. Is what they're looking at right now. Well, no, it would not yet.
My apologies.
I know.
I was off on a different topic that time. I was
You jumped the
thinking there
gun,
was
but
something
that's
else
okay. That's
going
why I
through
wanted to
my-
bring it back
There was
to
something
the,
else going through my mind.
yeah, to the next one.
Yeah, yeah.
That's okay. That's okay.
Oh, what? Gotcha. There you go. Okay, any other questions or comments? If not, all those in favor? Those against, motion is carried.
And finally, the residential subdivision design bylaws. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood adopt the residential subdivision design bylaws as prepared for the town through collaboration with the town planner and council. So moved.
Moved by Deputy Mayor Woodford, seconded by Councillor Windsor. Further discussion? And I just had mine. Okay, all those in favor? Those against, motion is carried.
And that's it for planning and development. Mayor, thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we'll move on to recreation and community events. We have Councillor Tilley and Councillor King.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to start off with a little recap for the meeting that we had on April the 9th, and then I do have a resolution there, but I will see if Councillor King has something to add to, in case I forget something, because I was absent at the meeting, so I'm going off the notes and the recommendations that were given to me. So first, I'm going to start off today with the Easter camp. Easter camp was a huge success. I want to give a great big shout out to all the staff, especially here at the building, and all the staff that put it together. Having the pitter-patter of little feet running around the building is something different. However, I think we can all agree that sometimes it's also a little highlight, having the pitter-patter of feet and laughter going on throughout the building. Sometimes it can be quite good on the mental health, hearing little voices. So it was a great success. We had the Easter egg hunt. We had the family movie. Again, it was a wonderful week. Everybody got to enjoy. The activity, the Active for Life, Zumba Gold, and Mini Movers are still running along, the same as planned. The Active for Life and Zumba Gold is actually going to have a 5-week spring session go on this year, so that's going to be great. You can get you out till the spring weather comes enough that we can get out and enjoy it, which we hope is coming sooner opposed to later. On that note, of getting out and enjoying the outdoors, the town is going to announce a date mid-June for the 2-hour tidy date. So basically, it's a time then for us to get out and take a little bit of extra oomph around our house and around the ditches and drains and around some trails and do some cleaning up. If everybody pitched in half hour, it would make a huge difference to the look of the community. Of course, speaking of spring, speaking of June, now we're getting into the summer programs. So Camp Ahoy registration is coming up on May 21st. That's going to be a huge one, as it always is. It's a great time for the kids all to get together in the summer months and have some fun. The CBC United Soccer registration will be announced soon as well. We got our beautiful new soccer field up there, so it's nice that they have to get the kids up there playing soccer. Again, to me, anything you're doing outdoors is a wonderful thing. And we also have our on our job posting was the deadline for our summer employment, which is today. So if you haven't got your resumes all dusted off, you got tonight to dust them off and to get them sent in. So make sure everything is all checked over and all looking good and get them sent in. And of course, as summer is approaching, the beach party, the beach fest is beach this year. However, it's still raring to go. The lineup is great. Kyle has been doing some great work. So again, as usual, you're going to set the tickets out in 3 phases. We're going to have our early bird stage. We're going to have our general admission. And we will have some at the gates, pending that is availability. I know the gate ones are usually pretty scarce as years past. Early bird is a fine time to get out to get them. Again, there's no difference in areas or prices. It's just instead of having, madness in one day, we're trying to do it over a length of time. Councillor King, did I forget anything? No? Okay. Crossed all the T's and dotted all the I's. Before I get into the resolution I have to read there tonight, I want to talk a little bit about what it's all about, and it is the lighting of our softball field. I was going to say baseball field, but it's softball. It's softball. So of our softball field. As you know, again, getting outdoors, playing, it's humongous. It's, we all do hockey in the winter. We all have our sports. I grew up in a softball pitch, and it is absolutely wonderful team environment to be in. Throughout the years, we've always had our softball field up there, but it's been limited to daylight hours, and it's been limited to who can go there and what certain times, because as you know, our evenings are short, and we have a lot of people that want to go there. So having lights there is huge. It will add a great benefit to our community. You'll be able to get more of a senior league in, as well as kids leagues, teenager leagues. It's a great place to be there, and I'm so happy to be able to read this out about the motion to put lights on our field. So I'm going to go on into the resolution that I have to read out here this evening, and if anyone got any questions after, I'm more than happy to answer. So be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood has submitted a gas tax application for $100,000 to erect the lighting for the town's softball field. The cost of the lighting, including installation of poles, lights, control box, and service, is $233,000. This incentive has been identified in the 2025 budget with support from the gas tax fund. Contributing with the budgetary monies, the town has provided the softball field to be able to host professional and amateur sports events.
Okay, moved by Councillor Tilley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion?
I'm so excited.
Well, this is great because it's been tossed around now for the past several years. We've heard it loud and clear from many residents in the community who enjoy playing softball. You know, unfortunately at that time, we had other initiatives that we had to commit the funding toward. And so finally now we're able to get the lighting installed, and there's going to be a lot of nights under the lights having a good game of softball.
It's a great it's another step up in in the town to what they can offer to the community and what they can offer for all ages, because this is not just for kids.
I remember as a child back many years ago, many years ago, but softball tournaments were a regular thing here in Holyrood. Softball league was a huge contributor in the community. And what I used to look forward to when we were, as a family, we said we'll go up to the softball game now. And I used to love when you drive up Salmon Line there just past Holyrood Tire, that's when you could actually see the cars at the softball field, because we were always wondering how many cars are going to be at the field. And I tell you, some of these tournaments, the place was blocked. And the more cars you saw as a child, the more excited you got.
And it's also evening something to do if someone, in the evenings, they want to go and watch a softball game. This is not just for the people who are playing.
Yeah.
I know in the leagues I've been in throughout the years, there's been a lot of times you've had the regulars that came and just sat and watched.
And I'm sure,
just
like
for
for
recreation.
evening events too. I mean, there could be some events that softball field would be an ideal spot, for nighttime events.
Yep.
So it's a sort of a multi-purpose use. Okay, it has been moved and seconded. Any further discussion or comments? If not, all those in favor, those against, motion is carried. All right, now we'll move on to Infrastructure and Public Works. We have Councillor King and Councillor Windsor.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, bear with me now, guys. I'm not on my A game tonight. I feel like a brand new councillor, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. And I think what it is a brand new room.
So it's fumes, is it?
Right? So, yeah, kudos to the staff for doing this. It's beautiful. It's the colors, the lighting is improved. I think the sound system is improved too. It seems like everything's coming through a lot clearer, right? So, like a brand new, like a rookie all over again, eh? Thank you, Mayor. Yes, Infrastructure and Public Works. The committee did not meet due to availability and conflicting schedules in this period. However, we do have a number of updates that I'll read out on behalf of the committee, myself and Councillor Sadie King, and staff, of course. You know what else? I think I need new glasses or longer arms.
Just want me to hold it on over here for you?
I'm finding that a lot lately. So, So a couple things here that I'm handicapped on here tonight, you know. Okay, so number one is the water tank upgrades. We've talked about that quite a bit. The RFP for the design build was released on Friday, last Friday, April 25th, and the closing date for the responses from the bidders is coming up on May 16th. So the goal is to receive them and go through the bid reviews as efficiently as we can so we can get that awarded and done. Really big move, great. So that's the water side of things. And the sewer project, approval of the tender lease was issued Monday, yesterday, the 28th. And that tender involves the cleaning of the three components, the clarifier, oxidation ditch, and the holding tank. You might remember at the last public meeting, our committee delivered a detailed update on the project and what those various phases include. I won't go backtracking into that again. This phase is coming up. So the tender should be released by Wednesday, tomorrow, 30th, and that's a great step forward in addressing our sewer issues. One of many to come as that project unfolds over the next several years, 2 years. The Salmoneer Line Emergency Water Project, repaving the Salmoneer Line section that was affected by that project is going to start in the end of May, after the long Victoria Day weekend, the May 2-4 weekend, which is actually May 19th this year, Monday, May 19th. But we'll still call it 2-4 weekend. So after that, we'll do that paving. Water Sustainability Project on the Salmoneer Line. The quote for initial well testing was released by our consultant, CBCL, and once we get those results, we'll factor that into our next decision points. The community center, so recreation committees, there's some overlap here that we're closely connected to, but on the community center, we're waiting on the third and final concept design before we come back to the town council with an open house consultation process. So again, back to the May 24 weekend, we hope to have that activity completed before Victoria Day weekend. And Festival Grounds project, again touching on recreation. The project started, and that's a major facelift to the area. People out there might have noticed the social media post that was published that shows the 3D model of what that will look like. And I heard some feedback already, very positive, and is also shared with our partners at the Marina Corporation. So, excuse me, the project has a completion date September 12th. So that's going to be excellent. Next, seasonal staff are back to work and getting ready, and already started a big list of work orders for summer activity. If summer actually comes, last week we had a bit of snow, it made you sick, right? I said the dirty word snow. We've had a few false starts on the summer there, right? Back and forth. But staff are getting ready, improving our recreational areas, and also recovering from some winter damages that were suffered in some specific areas, roads, drainage, things of that nature. So you'll probably see those people out and about. Two more. You might remember talking about the green sand filter media in past meetings. So that's an important, really important part of our water program to make sure we have safe, reliable drinking water for all residents. So that's all completed now. So the staff done an excellent job. Completed replacement of green sand in all 3 tanks. That's all done, and that's been going on over the last 2 years. And the shelf life for the filter media is 10 years. So really good to get all that refurbishment dealt with. Great work. So last but not least, and it's not a project update, but it is very important, it's a recognition. And we'd like to recognize Mr. Matthew Penny as he retires at the end of this week after 23 years of service, providing seasonal contribution to our Public Works Department. He has been a valued member of our team, and we wish him all the very best in his well-deserved retirement.
Hear, hear.
So that's it for me. The committee, Councillor Sadie King, you good? Yes. Excellent. Okay. Thank you all. No motions tonight.
No motions. Thank you very much, Councillor Windsor and Councillor King, for that committee update. Any questions or comments? No? Okay. Now we'll move on to economic development. Deputy Mayor Woodford, you're up.
The Economic Development Committee, we met on April 21st with CAO Marjorie Gibbons and myself in attendance. The mayor was unable to attend. There were 2 business applications reviewed during that meeting, which were sent for planning and development, which we've already discussed tonight. Just an update on the RBC Bank. Our bank will reopen. We've received notification that it will be sometime late 2025, and they have put out some notices in the shoreline and at the banks and in the mail. Yeah, and so that's good news that we're getting our bank back here in Holyrood. There's a lot of activity going around the community. It's the time of year. Councillor Windsor already talked about our phase 2 of our boardwalk, the festival ground upgrades. Newfoundland Hydro, they're preparing the site down there for the new thermal plant. You look at the Valero site, all the tanks are gone. It's a very clear, you'd never say it was anything ever there. Now they're working on the environmental cleanup piece of that. So there's a lot of activity you're still going to see going on within the community. And lastly, I think in the update is something that's not great, and that is some vandalism that's going on in the community. And it's specifically targeted to the Blue Ocean Industrial Park. And that vandalism, they've been the victims of 2 separate incidents up there in the past few months, which, it's not nice when your business is targeted and you don't know why you're being targeted. We just want to put it out there, that to the public and to the business community and to the Blue Ocean Industrial Park owners, that, the town is here to support however we can support in moving forward with this issue, and as well in working with local authorities who are investigating. So hopefully there'll be some resolution. The people who did this will be found or caught, and it won't be happening again, because no business wants to be targeted in a negative way in the town. That's not the message that we want to put out there. And that's it for economic development, Mayor.
And when it comes to these brazen acts, unnecessary, as Councillor King often said, if you see something, say something, because it can certainly help out in a big way with the police investigation. So if you're passing through at 4 o'clock in the morning and see somebody up there that there's something suspicious going on, all right, you need to make that phone call. So, okay. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. And now we'll move on to public safety. Councillor King and Councillor Tilley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Our public safety meeting happened on the 15th of April, and those in attendance were our CAO, Marjorie Gibbons, the Fire Chief, Trevor Rideout, the Mayor himself, Councillor Tilley, and myself. Okay. One of the first topics that came up, I don't want to lose my A. One of the first topics that came up was cell service, and as you can, people should already know, with regards to Holyrood was picked for one of the communities that they were going to target with that $2 million to try to improve cell service. So everybody here beating the drum and making some noise along with residents, we actually were successful in getting eyes on the cell phone service, and hopefully something will be achieved from it. And before I move on to the next item, one of the members from the Small Town Advisory Council, we discussed, that's another topic that's very high across the province with regards to cell service. And she sent me something yesterday that I'm going to read out. It's not very long, but if you think back last year, we talked about the idea of somebody about to call for an emergency and something happened, and all of a sudden the phone go dead, and what would happen after that. And this is something that actually happened. okay? And I'll just read it out so everybody can see it or hear it. Last summer, we had a motor vehicle accident just outside our town. The vehicle in question caught on fire, and 2 of the 3 occupants were trapped in the burning vehicle. Our fire department responded to the incident, but due to lack of cell phone service coverage, we had to have someone go to a different location where they could get service to contact Gander and Glovertown to ask for the jaws of life and to get additional support. Right? This caused delays for our team and for making the necessary request. Those 2 people that were trapped in the vehicle died. Okay? The 2 of them died because now, was it because they couldn't get nobody knows that for sure, but as soon as the investigation is being completed and the final summary comes out, she's going to pass it on and I will pass it on. But so it is a very important issue across the province, okay? And it needs to be addressed, and we're on the right road to getting it fixed, okay? I'll reiterate what the Deputy Mayor just finished talking about, was vandalism. You know, it's an ongoing thing now, and I know we talked about cameras, and I'll get back to that one after, but, you know, out in Harbour Grace, what did they do? I mean, they stole the statue. Actually, after they stole the plaques, they came back later on and stole the statue. This is not something that you can just pick up under your arm and go. These things are heavy. So it wasn't the act of one particular person. It was the act of probably several. And I know they've got a reward up to try to, and hopefully they'll catch it. The same thing that happened in Harbour, Maine. You know, they stole $9,000, I think, was windows and doors. And they're on the camera, and it was in broad daylight. So people seem to have absolutely no fear of getting caught, because 99% of business today and residents, I'm sure there's people in this room, myself included, that have cameras on their own private property, right? So, you know, so cameras don't deter anything, but it helps the police identify the people responsible, and that's a good thing, right? And I know we talked about, you know, getting part of that traffic camera program here in Holyrood, and I hope we do. And just as a point with regards to cameras, in London, there's 942,562 cameras in London, and it works out to 1 camera for every 10 people. So you can't do absolutely nothing, and I think in New York City it's even more, right? So cameras do help. And I mean, if you look at the young fellow that killed the CAO, they tracked him all over New York using cameras, CCTV cameras, right? So I mean, it does work. The other one we talked about, and the Deputy Mayor is absolutely right. If you see something, say something. But also add another part to that. If you know something, say something, because Crime Stoppers is there. You don't have to worry about, you know, repercussions or retaliation or whatever. If you know these people who are responsible, tell the law enforcement who they are, and maybe they'll catch them. The other one we talked about, it's the season again, although you never notice out there today, the fire season, right? People are out. We've already had incidents of people burning grass and losing control and catching everything on fire. The chief and all the chiefs in the northeast Avalon area are going to combine so they be able to provide one message to the entire region with regards to the fire levels, and that will be done in conjunction with the Department of Forestry. So hopefully there'll be no fire. We're still waiting on a meeting with regards to the RCMP and the Public Safety Minister, and we will let people know when that happens. There was another thing that happened after the meeting with regards to ATVs, okay? And there's people complaining about ATVs and dirt bikes and stuff like that. I, for one, do not want to ban dirt bikes or ATVs from Holyrood, right? I own an ATV. My son owns an ATV. He used to own a dirt bike. And I can understand when people get mad about, you know, kids or whatever, and sometimes it's not kids. You know, because I know from my own experience, how many times I told him, make sure you got your helmet on, make sure you follow the speed limit, don't drive on people's private property and all these other different things that other parents say as well, right? And we were talking about it the other day. I said, you know, if I had $1 for every time I said to him to do that, Elon Musk wouldn't be the richest man. He'd be the second richest man in the world. Okay? So there's rules out there, and and I know the laws have changed with regards to ATVs, but you still got to have a helmet. You still got to have insurance and registration and all the good things. But the law also says that you can only travel 1 kilometer on the side of the road to reach the ATV trail. And one of the areas that we have a problem with is the North Side Road and Kennedy's Lane. But if you look at the North Side Road, and I think Councillor Windsor already had an experience with that. If you look at North Side Road, there is no reason for you to be on the North Side Road, because from the diner all the way past the school, you're running parallel to the North Side Road. So why would you even want to be on the North Side Road, right? So what we have to do is we have to find some kind of a happy medium that respects the rights of the dirt bike users and the ATVs, and also respects the quality of life of residents living everywhere in Holyrood, not just on the North Side Road and Kennedy's Lane. And I think if we all work together in cooperation with the RCMP and the residents and everything else, I think we can come to some kind of a happy solution. And before I turn it over to Councillor Tilley, I just want to acknowledge there was 3 promotions at the fire department over the past week or so. And I just want to acknowledge Lieutenant Brandy Ralph was promoted to the rank of captain. Firefighter Tanner Whitty was promoted to lieutenant, and firefighter Emily Boland was also promoted to lieutenant. So congratulations on to these people. And at this time, I will turn it over to Councillor Tilley to close the loop.
Thank you, Councillor King. Well said. Again, safety of the public and safety of the people using the trails, the roads, and everything is our utmost importance. I again also agree with Councillor King that ATVs and dirt bikes do bring a lot to the community. You know, you walk the boardwalk and you see families there with their barbecue, having a picnic after driving on their quads, and you see, like, you know, families out on dirt bikes respecting others. It's absolutely wonderful. But we do all have to keep in mind that, you know, this is a shared trail, and we don't want to make it a unshared trail if by nasty stuff going on. So again, it's a great resource to have, and I hope we keep it. But I also want to make sure everyone's safe. Closing it off, I just wanted to do a little shout out and reminder of our Adventure Smart program that's coming up on May 10th. It's going to be at the IBEW building. This is for all ages. The search and rescue is going to do it. This is a recognized program all across Canada. It's the Adventure Smart program, if anybody would like to go in and have a look online. It will be 2 different sessions that will go on at the same time. One will be for kids under 12, and the other one will be for adults. Just a note that it's not a drop off your kids. You have to come and stay with your kids. And when it comes to everyone over the age of 12 that want to attend the Survive Outside, it's a great session for learning, you know, what to do if you get into a problem and what to take with you when you go out, because we have some beautiful hiking trails. Even George's Cove Mountain is absolutely beautiful. But people that are get out now and to get walking, they need to know how to be prepared. So again, if you want to pop a email or call to the town just to register, it'd be great to have an idea of the amount of people. It's no cost. And if you want to show up last minute, that's fine. But again, it was nice to have an idea on how many people that would be there. So May the 10th, mark it your calendars. Other than that, thank you.
Okay, thank you folks for that update. All right. Oh, sorry, Councillor Windsor.
Just 1 minute. I don't want to belabor the point on the ATV safety, because Councillor King did an excellent job talking about that, as did Councillor Tilley. But you made reference to a story that I witnessed, and we haven't had a chance to see each other and speak about it. I just sent you a little email what I observed, and if I could take a minute to tell you, it was I think it might hit home. Very scary. So I was out for a bicycle ride with my 2 young fellas on North Side Road, and seen a group of kids, you know, junior high age, I'd say, 5 or 6 of them on their dirt bikes. Excellent. I grew up on dirt bike myself, and let me tell you, I was no angel. But when I got caught doing something, and Father grabbed me by the
Didn't
scruff
do
of
it
the neck.
second
I didn't
time.
do it again. But that was different back then. There's a healthy bit of fear, right? The way we were reared, I guess, and maybe that's what's required now. I don't know. But education goes a long way, right? So what I observed, they'd all parked, and you can, as Councillor King described, you can follow that trail right over Northside Road until you cross at one point to continue across the back of the mountain, right? Prior to that, the boys were stopped taking a break, and I guess what happened was one of them wanted to race them to the next meeting point before the crossing. So 4 or 5 continued on the trail, but one boy, he cracked the throttle and went out on the road because he wanted to race them along that section, I guess. And he was almost killed. Just about to say that, because there was an SUV traveling at the same time as he cut out, and he could kiss the bumper on the back tire of his bike, and he was oblivious. The kid, he didn't know first or last what happened. Right, the SUV pawed on the brakes and horn and was a little fishtail, and me and the boys were like, oh my God, this fella almost bit the big one here now today. I cannot imagine in this community what that would do to that family and the entire community. And anyway, I just wanted to share that. I was shocked. My heart was pounding in my chest when I seen it. But we have to do better. I don't know how we do that. Is it social media posts? Is it education? Is it getting after the parents? What is it? When you see something, you say something. I mean, we can't, do much to any other person's child, but we can educate the community and encourage the enforcement and the parents to do better and maybe ask some better questions. That's how I got caught. Dad asking around what's he up to after school on a dirt bike, right? And someone tattletale on me.
That's how Crime Stoppers was invented.
Boy, I'm glad they did though, because I'm still here. Right? Anyway, thanks for letting me share that story. I'm glad the kid's okay.
I think it's a story that needed to be shared. Okay, now we'll move on to communications. Councillor Crawley.
Good evening, everyone. Communications Committee met via Zoom on April 21st at 12 p.m. And in attendance was Deputy Mayor Woodford, myself, Councillor King, Marjorie Gibbons, CAO, and Carl Hacko, which is Director of Recreation and Community Services. In that, we had talked about our Voyant alert system. We are very excited to say that we're underway loading up the database from our database into Voyant. I went on, I have the app on my phone as well because I already had it on for Eastern Waste Management, and it just picked up on my location. It gives you other options that are available. If you don't want to do that, you can go look for it directly. So it's the Town of Holyrood, and you can sign up for whatever alerts. I think it was Councillor Tilley who was talking about that. Like, you don't have to get every alert. You can have just emergency, or you can have general information, or you can have outages. So there's various things that you can sign up for. And I like my phone dinging all the time, so I signed up for them all. So anything that's happening, I'm going to get a message for, a little notification. But the training has been completed now. So our staff has been trained in on the alert system in ways to update it, add information, and send out those alerts, and in the proper format, in the proper way. We have well, like I said, it's ready to use. It's launched, ready to go. So I encourage all my fellow councillors, along with all our residents, to sign up and to log in. And the marketing materials, I saw them printed out there the other day, and I'm pretty sure they must be out in the mail already. No? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. So we're waiting to go through because there is a motion. So we're going to have, our recommendation is that we proceed with the flyer mail out. It's not a specific motion here at all, but we would like it if we could have a general consensus that it's okay to go out with the mail out for Voyant alert system. Round table. Okay.
Absolutely.
It is really nice, even though it's funny. It's kind of funny. We're talking about an app, and then we're sending out a mail out. But we want to make sure that we're reaching all our residents and giving them the opportunity, because not everyone's on Facebook or X or wherever else social media sites. Some people still rely on their email, some people still rely on phone communication, and some people rely on the mail. Those options will still be available. The Voyant Alert system is for most specifically that point of contact. A lot of people said in our database that that's how they would like to be accessed. That's how they'd like to gain information, is through apps and media, things like that. But we still want to make sure we're reaching all our residents, so the mail out will go out. It'll explain how to install it, how to register, how to set up, and what it entails. So we're really looking forward to that. Super happy that that is happening. And I think it'll go over much better than the app that we had before, which is a little bit cumbersome. Even I myself actually stopped using the Town of Holyrood app. I found it was bogged down. It wasn't easy access, and this one is much more efficient. Absolutely.
But the Voyant as well can send all that information to a phone line as well.
Absolutely.
Right? Okay. It's not just the app.
No, it's not just the app. So if you say that you would like to be communicated with through email, they will send you emails. Perfect. They can send it weekly, bi-weekly, monthly. They can send it only when it's emergencies. Even that's an option. They can send it via phone, and it'll be an automatic voice message, one of those kind of robot voices, but it will come in from a Holyrood number and give you that information.
Excellent.
That's a great point. Thank you. We also discussed our communication policy. We are going to kind of put a pause on the external policy. We did an internal policy for internal communications. We're still working on that. We're still maneuvering through. We had our social media policy, still working our way through. We had training sessions. Of course, we're having new staff members, and probably soon, maybe not necessarily new council members, could have same council members, whatever's going to happen in the election, but we will kind of push forward all those policies. And with the initiation of Voyant, we're actually going to just kind of sit on that for a little while, gather our information, see how that goes, collect all the data we need. One of the biggest things on the external communication policy that we were looking at, or the plan, I should say, not the policy, was to gather how people want to be informed. And so that's been done. So let's sit on that now for a little bit and see if it's doing its job and what needs to be changed or fixed for that. We, along with many other towns, businesses, government, and communities, are going to deactivate our X account, our Twitter account. We're following suit. The engagement is not high anymore. We don't find there's that much communication going through. And with the amount of misinformation and media garbage kind of going on right now, we feel that that is not the best option for us as a town. So we're going to step back, we're going to deactivate that account, and we're going to just use Facebook and Instagram currently, along with our own Voyant system, and then we'll see how that goes. And if we decide to enlist another social media site later on down the road, we'll look at that. Okay. So that was the recommendation of the committee, if, again, all other councilors agree. So that leads us kind of into our motion, because part of the municipal, what is that called? I'm sorry. New Municipalities Act. Sorry, I was trying to get the right name. New Municipalities Act. Our committee meetings, if they're going to go out, we can be public. They can be public meetings and invite the public, and we post those on our website when they're going to occur. We also have working meetings sometimes that have to be in camera if we're discussing sensitive information or information that cannot get out. However, during these meetings, there are minutes taken. And the minutes, as per the Municipalities Act, must be published and adopted and accepted the same way as our public minutes in our meetings. So if we all put in from our various committees, submit our minutes, they are sent out to all of council, and we are going to make a motion to adopt them at our public meeting. Once they're adopted and everyone accepts that, So it's all approved. Around a table, we know that anything that was recommended by the committees has been approved. So it's super, super important that all our council members read all of the minutes that come across and do so before the public meeting. So in doing that, we know where each committee stands, we know what the recommendations were, and we're able to argue for or against.
Not everything needs to be motioned. That's the whole.
Not everything needs to be motioned.
Right.
If we adopt the minutes as they were sent out in our our meeting package, then we know we accepted the recommendations.
Right.
And then those minutes are also going to be added to our website and put up as well. So they'll be made public.
Sounds like a good process.
Right? So it's a little bit of extra work that we're going to do to make sure not only are we following the Municipalities Act, but in our transparency and honest and openness to our public, everything will be laid out. And we've had some questions about, well, does everyone on staff or everyone on council know that that was happening? Yes, and we have said that. And I think Councillor Windsor, you were speaking on to the processes and procedures of each committee meeting there a couple of weeks ago. Oh, was it last meeting? A couple of weeks ago. I don't know where I am anymore. And that is the process. The process is that we discuss it at a committee level. We pass on our recommendations, whether for or against, and council has a chance before the public meeting to agree or reject. So when it comes to the table here, we're ready to go, and that's why it's kind of smooth, and people think things are happening behind the scenes, but they're really not. There is a process and procedure, and it is open and it is transparent. So if there's no other questions or discussion, I will continue to the motion. We thought that this would be the best way as the Communications Committee to present this motion, and that way it would be the same every month. So be it resolved that the Town of Holyrood accept the committee updates and recommendations as presented in the committee reports provided by the various departments and made available to all councillors for consideration. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Deputy Mayor Woodford. Further discussion? I think you've articulated that very well.
So, thank you.
So, all those in favour? Those against, motion is carried.
Okay. I'm going to stay standing.
You gotta pay the bills.
Yep. And there's a lot of them, and we'll explain that as well. So the Corporate Services Administration met on April 24th. In attendance was myself, Councillor Bruce King, Director Marie Searle, and CAO Marjorie Gibbons. We first reviewed our accounts, and as you see, when we go to pay our accounts, there is a significant number there this month. Reason being is that we have full payment of some of our biggest accounts already processed and completed. So this would be Eastern Waste Management, all our insurance, our tax bills, our revenues. It's been amazing progress to be able to have the money in the bank and pay in full even before the end of our deadline for tax payments is a significant improvement, and what a sigh of relief that people are not holding their breaths to see, or when can we pay this bill, and we don't have to look at big installments and things like that. So it is fantastic that we can do that. So Councillor King and myself, along with the staff, reviewed all of these and went through meticulously and made sure that everything's in order. The assessment report, so important. So if you weren't listening now, tune in. The assessment agency will be sending out assessments in June. All assessments right across the board in Newfoundland in June. The Municipal Assessment Agency has now employed or enlisted drones and satellite imagery to capture every property that runs under the municipal agency. This means that anything that has been done to your house has now been picked up. So if there's fencing, garages, decks, patios, pools, garden sheds, garages, anything else extra added onto your house, extensions onto the house, or maybe took down part of your house. Anything now has been picked up. So our important message is when you get or receive these municipal assessments in the mail, to meticulously look at what has happened. If you see an increase or slim chance decrease, but an increase or stays the same, it is up to you, the onus is on to each property owner to check and see if it is valid and if it is correct. If you have questions about that assessment, you are to call the Municipal Assessment Agency. Now, if you really want to call the front desk here, we will put you on to the Municipal Assessment Agency, give you the number. But on our website, we will have the link to the Municipal Assessment Agency website, and it will give you a very detailed process if you want to appeal. But even before the appeal process, we implore you to call the assessment agency, because they will run through your bill with you and explain what happened, and if there's a discrepancy or if there's a difference, they'll explain why, where it came from. Maybe that's as far as they'll go. If you still wish to appeal, then they'll give you the process to appeal. But you can't just appeal because I don't like the number. There has to be a reason to appeal, and they will explain all of that. So strongly, strongly, 1, get your assessment in the mail and scrutinize it. 2, if you feel like something is inappropriate or misguided on it, then call the municipal agency, and they'll help you. We're going out to tender soon for a search for a consultant to help with our union negotiations, and that's all standard practice. And in the quarterly review at the end of April, we'll have a quarterly review of all departments' expenditures and expenses, and anything that has been brought in. So we'll do that for our next budget meeting. Do you have anything else to add?
Yeah, just so I just want to add to what Councillor Crowley said. We talked about this last year as well. If you go in online to the Municipal Assessment Agency, there's modules in there that you can do, okay? And it far better explains how these assessments are conducted. And the other thing you got to remember too, the Municipal Assessment Agency is completely unrelated to the town.
Right.
Okay, that's something that a lot of people still don't understand. But if you go in and do the modules, and like Councillor Crowley said, if you have a complaint about your assessment, phone them. And the other thing that you just can't say, well, I don't agree with it. Well, they're probably not going to talk to you very much longer after that. You need to have a very valid reason why you're what's the word?
Assessment.
Appealing. There you go. Appealing your assessment. Okay, and 90% of all these people that phone, after they hang up the phone, they're usually satisfied with the answer that the Municipal Assessment Agency gave them. Right. So it's a completely independent organization from the town, from the council. So we have no control over whether your assessment went up or your assessment went down. Okay, so, and I know as soon as it comes out, all social media, the smoke will be coming out of your iPad because all these people are, want to put 7 people on a cross. But it's got nothing to do with us, right? So I just want to make sure that's understood again.
And if I could further elaborate, that's a requirement on our part that has to be done. We actually have to pay Municipal Assessment Agency for them to do this work, which is law. And like you say, they are totally independent, because I've heard people saying, some people, that they were under the impression that this is done through the town. And I said, no, the town by law has to pay the Municipal Assessment Agency to have these assessments completed, right? Every year now? Every year, right? So it's out of our hands. What our responsibility is to determine how the assessments will affect our revenue stream And then we look at our expenses and determine how that could possibly impact the mill rate. That's our job, is to, right, to set the mill rate. So, okay. Carry on, Councillor Crawley.
Okay, so that is our update. We will move on to our motions. Be it resolved, those accounts tabled in the amount of $422,131.74, check numbers D4706 to D4758 and 46877 to 46967, be approved for payment from the general account. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor King. Further discussion? If not, all those in favor, motion is carried.
Okay. We have a bank book balance of $201,632. So we have a nice contingency for any kind of emergency and continue paying the bills. Motion for M&L Symposium. Be it resolved, the Town of Holyrood approved the expenses for one representative from council to attend the M&L Symposium in Gander, May 1st to May 3rd at the cost of $1,345.79. This expense is identified as a professional development in our annual budget and provides an opportunity for councillors to engage with other towns and discuss best practices. So moved.
Moved by Councillor Crawley, seconded by Councillor Tilley. Further discussion?
No, we always have tremendous benefit from sending someone to these conferences. So.
Sure. Okay, all those in favor, motion is carried.
And that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And now we'll do the go around, starting with the Deputy Mayor.
Do I have to stand up? I guess I do. Stand up, sit down. Well, you know, we just did the motion for the M&L conference, so might as well say a thank you to Councillor King, Councillor Bruce King, who put his name forward, as he always does, to attend these conferences, and he does a great job of gathering information and representing the town of Holyrood and bringing all that information back to us, so thank you very much for that. Next, of course, would be it's our National Volunteers Week. And, you know, we have put out some messaging from the town. We don't like to pinpoint specific groups because there's a lot of people out there that volunteer and we don't want to miss anybody. But, you know, when you look at it, you may not think that there's a lot of volunteers within your community, but our volunteers build our community. It makes Holyrood, it makes small communities and large communities what they are. It really does. I mean, and I'm just going to put some names out there for people to consider, not names, but organizations that you might not think. Well, our fire department, yes, our fire department, absolutely. You know, Star of the Sea, our Royal Canadian Legion, our Marina Corporation, our Heritage Society, did I say our fire department? Yes, our local parish, right? Our parish council. The Holyrood 50 Plus Club, right? Volunteers. Our soccer, softball programs that are run here during the summer. Our breakfast programs in our schools. They're all run by volunteers. And our after school programs as well. You know, kids that are doing all kinds of things at Girl Guides and stuff like that. So there's a lot of different organizations within just a small community of Holyrood that have a lot of volunteers. So thank you to all the volunteers for your time, taking the time, because we all know we all lead very busy lives, really hard to find those hours to volunteer, but thank you to all those that do.
Hear, hear. Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor. Councillor King.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Deputy Mayor. I was going to mention the Heritage Committee, but you did it for me, so I won't have to go through that no more. I just got one point there, Mr. Mayor. A resident came to me about a thing with regards to postal codes. And first of all, I didn't think we had two postal codes in Holyrood. I thought we had AOA 2RO, and that was it. But we don't.
No.
We got two, and it's causing, believe it or not, a lot of confusion amongst people, and especially over on the north side towards Ridge Road that way, Because years ago, and I did some research into these things before I usually open my mouth, and years ago, the mail used to be delivered up at Woodford's, and the mayor was probably around when the trains were here, and probably stagecoaches as well. So he would probably know more about it than me, right? But the mail used to be delivered by train, and the place was called Woodford's. And then they had a post office up, I think, up on Ridge Road as well.
Woodford Station.
Woodford Station.
They have one on Woodford Station and Ridge Road.
Yeah, there you go. So the place was booming. We had lots of mail, right? But when you look at it, for example, the other postal code is AOA 4LO, and it's called Woodford's, right? Which makes perfect sense until you start reading down. And then you look at the population of Woodford's is 44,930 people. There's 26,102 dwellings in Woodford's. So my question is, where are these people paying all their taxes to?
Bruce, look at the community.
Yeah,
Just look.
The community of Woodford is over in England.
yeah. But see,
Right.
this is the problem, because the postal code doesn't. Maybe that's where all the parcels are going. They're going to England, right? So but it does say it's the census subdivision of Holyrood, and it also says it's the census consolidated subdivision of Holyrood. So they still think it's Holyrood, but we're all those people, right? And
And Holyrood is in England too.
Yeah, I know. That's where the palace. That's where the Queen. That was one of the places
That's
where
right.
the Queen was laid to rest.
Yep.
Right. So it's causing a lot of problems because most of these courier companies, they go by GPS. So when they put in the postal code, they're completely confused. So if you look online a lot of the times, there's people looking for their parcels. And where did the mail go? They said, okay, my parcel was dropped off, but nobody knows where it was dropped off to, right? And the other thing is with mail and parcels and stuff like that, banking is another problem. But the other biggest concern that somebody brought forward is if you go in online and you fill out a form, and of course the form says, okay, your postal code. So if you put in AOA 4LO, and the community where you live, you don't live in Woodford's, you live in Holyrood, it won't accept it. It keeps kicking it back to you. So it's causing a lot of confusion. And I went in on the Canada Post website, and there's a whole slew of different things there that postal codes can be changed, or they can be amalgamated into another community. Like instead of changing AOA 4LO to Woodford's, change it to Holyrood. Problem solved. And also if the community doesn't exist, okay? So unless somebody can find 44,000 people, that community doesn't exist up the road here. So I think us as a council and the town should look at it to see if there's something that can be done to sort this out, because it's really a backward way of
Bruce?
conducting business.
I don't know. You can't be making jokes about him now being old and stagecoach, because this came up in 2002 around this same table and we discussed it, and it went through. They've been fighting this for years.
Well,
It's not as easy as just changing that's not working. It's been requested over and over and over again.
Can we, as a municipality, on behalf of those residents who are affected, reach
But
out?
we have over and over again.
So,
They're just not doing it. Yeah, they're just
what's-
not changing. Like Canada Post is just not changing it.
like, in
That
their
was the reply. They
opinion,
weren't
they're
changing it.
doing this for a reason that we probably don't have all the facts and don't understand
I
it
guess
all.
that's the
I
problem,
don't
but we've
know,
done
but I'd
this
like to get
Since
clarification
we've
on
been
it.
in. I don't know, like that's
Why
we've
is
been
this
doing-
problem occurring?
This we already, so if I may,
Turn on your mic.
which I hate, but anyway, let's do this. So yes, all the points that you have made are correct. And 2 years ago, this issue was brought to the table of council. And Marie, our finance person who deals with, the taxes and all that, she took the lead, and a argument was put forward to Canada Post. And Canada Post came back and just said at this time, there would be no change in the postal codes. And they were very much aware of all the issues and the Woodford mail system and all of that situation. So it's nothing new for them. But we did make representation to Canada Post to have those changes made. And at that time, it was not entertained by Canada Post. I don't have the reply in front of me to give you the detailed response. I don't think the response was greatly detailed, to be honest, but I do know that was brought forward. We can go back and ask for an update on that issue and highlight that it is becoming more of an issue given today's delivery methods. But I will tell you that yes, within your council term 2 years ago, we did have this issue identified and we did reach out. But there's nothing preventing us from reaching out again. And on your direction, I can initiate that tomorrow.
I mean, if it's still causing a problem and confusion with, several residents that are on that postal code, I mean, it needs to be corrected. It needs to be corrected. And for every problem, there's a solution. And I'd just like to know, with an update from Canada Post, what is the logic behind it when, they can solve the problem?
Oh, absolutely. If you
Why
go
let
in
it go on?
If you go in on the Canada Post website, and the question is there, what conditions are required to change a postal code or whatever, the people up the other end of town here meet almost every single one of them, right? So unless Canada Post wants to take all their stuff off their website and just say, look, we're not changing nothing, don't bother us anymore, right? Because all the stuff that the people up at Woodford's, or whatever you want to call it, are all there in Canada Post's website, that these are the reasons. Now, I know there's only 0.5% of the time, but they do change them, and they change them for the very reasons these people are complaining. So Canada Post really needs to look at it again, so because it's been a real pain for the people up there.
Okay, so we'll let the CAO take that on and reach out to Canada Post to see if we can get an update. All right. That's it for you. Councillor Crawley.
Just a big shout out and a thank you to all our volunteers, National Volunteer Week, and there's so many multitudes of volunteers, like you said. Completely keeps the community going in more ways than one. So, thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Tilley.
I'm going to follow on Councillor King tonight. Now I only got 4 pages here I want to add. But I do have a couple of things that, of course, I have to give highlight to Volunteer Week. I've spent 20 plus years with the biggest, hardest volunteers you have ever seen in your life. You have a special bunch of people that will get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and walk all night long for absolutely nothing, only the reward of getting these people home. Again, and you don't have to be a part of an organization in order to be recognized as a volunteer. You could be the person down the street that shovels the driveway for a person who can't do it. Volunteers are the heart. I always say, like with my group that I'm involved with Ground Search and Rescue, I'm privileged to work with 900 volunteers across the province. And they're all, I say, a bunch of sick volunteers that are waiting for someone's worst possible moment so they can go out and do what they do. So, hands down, volunteers make the world go round, from the firefighters to, I see it when I'm in somewhere where somebody is in distress and you have people coming from everywhere wanting to help, and only to help for no reward. So again, I have to do the shout out to the volunteers. I also have to do a big shout out tonight to our CAO. As I sit here tonight, we're talking about our softball field getting lit. We're talking about our septic system getting cleaned out down on the marina, which is so near and dear to my heart. We're talking about the festival grounds being upgraded. We're talking about the steps closer to being on our, having our community center. We're talking about our water tanks upgrades. I've never seen a person who works so hard to find money Again, it's phenomenal. Like, if there's any bit of gas tax or funding or anything, she can make it happen. I don't think the residents of Holyrood realise how much work goes into finding these funds, and to finding it, and to figuring out that it doesn't all come out of the one pot. Our pot can only go so far, and so then you have to go to your side cupboards to find stuff. And Marjorie is the one who always finds the side cupboards.
She can smell the money.
And it's absolutely phenomenal, and I don't think the lady gets enough credit. The only thing now is I just figure out some way that she can work out Route 60, since we have no control over that. But, and I think that I, again, sometimes get in the wormhole of Facebook, and just to get out there that Route 60 is not something that the town of Holyrood can take the money and fix. This is not ours. And when I see that, sometimes I call it amusement some nights when I go through social media sometimes and do some reading. But again, I have fiction. But again, I have to do a shout out to Marjorie for all she do and for all the funding. And if she, you give an idea and it sounds good and you talk about it, she's like, let's see if we can do that. And she has yet to fail me. So thank you, Marjorie.
And by the way, all of these projects, because we have 4 significant projects now that are either started or will be coming or will be starting soon. Millions and millions of dollars, right, for these projects. For example, the boardwalk project, and the festival ground improvements, which is started now. The equipment is there. It's underway. That costs $600,000. $699,000. Now, just get a load of this. How much is the town's contribution? $162,000. So we're getting a $700,000 project done, which I know the residents are going to be absolutely delighted with, because it's going to be there for all ages, and it's a beautiful venue. And the enhancements and improvements are really going to be something for the whole community to be proud of. So that, to engage in a project so significant, at such a significant cost, almost $700,000, and is only costing the town $100 and something thousand, because again, she went looking for the bags of money, and she knows how to go about it in the correct way. And she has some very good relationships with the funding partners on both levels of government. Steve touched on earlier on the sewage treatment plant. That's a significant project, a couple of $1 million. We got that on a 90-10. So the town's contribution on that is 10%. 202,000. What's the total of the project? 2.2 million. So we're getting $2.2 million worth of work done to finally see the upgrades that are totally necessary, especially to meet the new federal guidelines and everything else that are in place, and to prepare for future growth in the town, to be able to accommodate this extra wastage. So we're getting this project done, a $2 million project that we're only paying 10% on. And most projects like this that we've always secured, for the most part, we're all on 90-10 cost shared funding. And that's fantastic, because otherwise we would never be able to tackle these major projects and maintain the quality of programs and services at the tax level in this community.
And you're given the accolades because it is Bibles of paperwork to get this done.
Exactly.
Like encyclopedias for those who remember what they were, of paperwork to get done. Because in my other hat, I can't find the time to do it. Like, I'd love to find the time, and I just can't find the time to fill out the multitudes of paperwork for every single one of this, the funding and the projects and the grants and the money. So
for a major project, say for the sewage treatment plant, I venture to guess that the paperwork is that thick, because you're dealing with municipal affairs, you're dealing with engineers, and it's a very comprehensive process. But our CAO does a fantastic job in bringing it over the line. and getting these done. What was that, Councillor Windsor?
I said there are worse, those engineers.
Oh, my. Okay, that's it, Councillor Tilley. Thank you. Councillor King.
No, I, like Laura as well, I'd like to say thank you to all our volunteers. And believe you me, there are many volunteers in this community. And a lot of our volunteers are older. And they're working behind the scenes and nobody knows what they're doing.
Nope.
These are the people we really need to thank. And I'd like to see more young people get involved volunteering. We don't have enough young people volunteering. That's it for me.
And I think we have to encourage that, not by talking about it, by demonstrating. That's how it's done. Councillor Windsor, you can wrap it up.
But a couple little things, I suppose, as we were doing the go around, as you say, and we were talking about the projects, you know. So I mean, and the volunteers. I mean, I could probably save the CSA some money on the sewer clean-out project if there's some volunteers. But I don't think anybody want to go
wouldn't
at
want that.
No, no. But a lot of good volunteerism happening. I used to do a lot of volunteering, and I haven't done. You're shaming me into getting involved with some additional activities now. So it's very important to give back to the community. And I've delivered furniture, you know, to some pretty rough places in neighborhood. Home Again, it's a furniture bank. It's a good one, you know, and I might get back into something like that again soon. So I encourage everyone to do that if you can find the time, right? Councillor Tilley, you mentioned Route 60, and correct, not our jurisdiction. However, I will say that this council is in constant contact with the province, and that's a file that is very important to us to keep moving the needle on. I don't want to speak out of turn on the discussions that have happened in the past, and we want to keep having those discussions. So hopefully we can make some improvements, but we can't commit to anything. It's currently not in our jurisdiction, right? And last, thank you, Councillor Bruce King. I learned a whole new meaning to the checks in the mail tonight. Send it to 4LO.
You'll never see it again.
Gone.
It'll be gone to England,
Thank you, Mayor.
at Holyrood House in England. And I too want to pass on my deepest appreciation to and thanks to all of our volunteers in the community. And we have a lot of great organizations and groups, you know, that have been doing this for years, helping a lot of people. A lot of people benefit from being part of these organizations. But like Councillor King just said, there's a lot of individuals in this community who does great work. And they don't want to be recognized. They do it very discreetly, very quietly. If it means helping their neighbors on a regular basis, if it means driving a neighbor, you know, who's probably have mobility issues or whatever, to the supermarket or to the bank, that's volunteerism. We have a bereavement committee when a loved one passes away. They're the first ones to reach out. And they're there for you the whole time that you need them. These folks have been at this for years and years when families really need that support, and they're there. We have, you know, the food bank here. They work very quietly. They've got their clientele who they know in this community who needs regular distribution of food. Nobody knows it, and nobody will know who they are because the organizers of this do it very discreetly. And it's very, you know, they don't want no credit for it. They don't want no accolades, no nothing. That's the way they want it. And like Councillor Tilley said, volunteers are truly, truly the heart of the community. It makes our community complete. And we certainly applaud them, we appreciate them, and we value everything that our volunteers do in this community. And I'm saying this on all of your behalf. Okay, that is the agenda. The date of the next meeting is May 27th, Our time is getting near, folks. 5 after this one. May 27th at 6 p.m. Can I have a motion to adjourn? Moved by Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Crowley. All those in favour? Meeting is adjourned.